Deep within a bleak and dismal era, hidden within the murky internet, lies the headquarters of the most sinister geeks of all time. A Legion on Zoom.
And what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Legion on Zoom. As always and forever, I'm Ches.
And I'm Miguel.
And I'm Rod.
And today is actually a pretty special occasion. For those of us who stuck with us this far, welcome to episode 10. Woo!
Woo! And as you guys can hear, you know, it's such a big momentous day that Ches is having a party. As you can clearly hear, there's a party right outside his window for us.
The people in my neighborhood actually are huge fans of the podcast, so they're throwing a block party in honor of episode 10. I'm just kidding. This is random street music because it's the Bronx.
Yes, and it's a Friday with a nice weather, so of course we're gonna have noise.
Yeah. And some of you might think that this is episode 12, but it is not. It is episode 10 because I'm hoping that if not all, a bunch of our fans are actual comic book readers, you'll happen to notice that special editions and things like that go on their own runs. They have their own, like total different system of numbers, like your annuals, your special editions, your zero numbers and stuff like that. I've even seen some like fractional issues here and there.
Damn.
Yeah. But so you guys might have seen our DC Fandom episode and our Comic-Con, at Home Edition episodes. Yeah, Comic-Con. Thank you. Our Comic-Con at Home Edition episodes. If you haven't, you should just go back and check them out. They're awesome. Yeah, those would be our special editions 1 and 2. But this is episode 10. And thank you for all of those who have stuck around from episode 1. You guys are the true members of the Legion.
Yes, and if this is your first time listening for whatever fortuitous reason that you come across us, feel free to go back, check out the other episodes, all other 9 and those 2 very special edition episodes. Check them out. I think they'll be worth it.
Especially the Fandom episode. That's our shining moment right there.
Definitely.
It's my favorite so far.
Yeah, I feel like we bled for that. That was the one time I feel like we clocked in for this.
Because we did hustle, because we were watching it. We recorded that same day, right? So we watched it all day. We were discussing via chat as it was happening, and then we recorded at the end. We were dedicated to this.
And we got the most exciting news of the entire year. Forget about the elections and all that stuff like that. No. We got a release date for the Snyder Cut and the format. So I am stoked.
So forget democracy. It's about Snyder.
Yeah, we all know Trump is gonna win again.
Hey, no, come on, let's not. No. Let's hope not. Jesus Christ.
No.
Anyway, but yes.
But yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I would not have picked another group of gentlemen to get this far with on something I never thought I'd honestly be doing. Who the fuck would think that they would start a podcast amidst a global pandemic? Even that sentence doesn't make sense. Yet here we are.
The Legion on Zoom did.
Exactly. Now, after that brief, slightly mushy moment, there's some stuff going on, guys, from our people at Disney and at Marvel Studios. The long-awaited trailer for Wandavision. You guys can also check out the trailer on the Legion on Zoom page on Instagram. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really interesting.
Yes, and I believe this is also the first time that I think the 3 of us have seen the trailer before recording, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. I loved it. I thought it was a very, very well done trailer. It got me excited because it's like a comedy, but it's like creepy and dark too at the same time. What did you guys think?
I mean, I got some hints of and this is gonna be a bit niche, but I'm sure that Rod is gonna see. He's gonna know what I mean. I caught hints of Vanilla Sky in the trailer.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like where it was like a glitchy reality where it's like she's self-inserted, but she's hiding it from herself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah,
And
like
and the way Marvel properties usually emulate like a type of movie or show, I want this one to be like a trippy Black Mirror kind of, mind trip type of show, right? Because it's all about her journey into insanity, right? From the loss of her brother, her lover. She's all over the place.
Damn, that's true. I totally forgot that Quicksilver is dead, and we really haven't seen her like suffer through it or anything. Damn, that party is
Right.
loud. I just heard the music.
Yeah, and we got a glimpse of her power levels in Endgame at the very end when
Right.
she goes at it with Thanos.
And I think for me, a big thing that I got from the trailer was that exactly like her descent into madness that is very reminiscent of the Avengers Disassembled and House of M storyline in the books, right? Where the Avengers Disassembled storyline, what ends up happening, right, is that what was it that her kids? Oh, it's super messed up, right? That she had 2 kids with the Vision, but ended up not being real. That these were supposed to be kids that she created out of her own like need to have kids, right? And then when they realized that they weren't real or something, or they died or something like that, right? And then she fucking lost it, right? And then she went insane at that point.
Yeah, which speaks to her power levels too. Whoa.
while we're at it for the fans, because that was kind of crazy, we should go ahead and clarify Wanda Maximoff's power set. So it's a little bit trippy. It's one of those weird, like, okay, so it's magic, but she can alter probability, but at the same time, I don't know, like it's a mixed bag, but apparently it can alter reality if it's like, yeah, it's wild.
Right. Like, because I think it's like chaos magic that she has access to. I think that's the specific kind of brand of magic that she has. And though, for those of you who are listening who don't know the story, we would highly recommend read Avengers Disassembled and House of M, written by Brian Michael Bendis. Amazing story. And what ends up happening there when she's when she starts to lose it, what ends up happening, she basically kills a bunch of Avengers, most notably Hawkeye, and by but they don't know it's Scarlet Witch. It's like they just think they're getting attacked by like the Kree and by like Wonder Man's brother. Remember what was the guy's name? The guy with the like scythe for a hand, like it looks like a pirate. You guys remember him?
Damn, I don't remember.
I don't know, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but none of that was happening for real, and they eventually realized that it was fucking Wanda just losing it and doing all of that. And when they come to confront her, Magneto, was it right? Or no, I think it was a Quicksilver that actually ended up convincing her to fucking change reality. That's how fucking powerful she was. And she created this world where mutants were on top and humans were like the dying a species.
Wait,
Yeah,
but
that's a good point too, right? Is she a mutant in the comic book universe, right?
Oh, I'm glad you bring that up because actually that got retconned. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, so apparently neither Scarlet Witch or Quicksilver are mutants. They're not Magneto's children. This all happened, I believe, because of the movies, right? Because in the movies, they're not mutants, and you couldn't have Magneto because they didn't own the rights at that time. And so they ended up basically doing the same thing in the comic books. And I think what ended up happening, they had this whole elaborate thing where it was the High Evolutionary gave them the powers, which we've mentioned him before, the Counter Earth guy for the Spider-Man Unlimited show that Ches loved. and like I think he's the one responsible for giving them powers, and so they're not mutants, which is a shame. Because come on, I love them. I love that family, that Magneto family.
yeah,
but it's also cool because now we don't know what's going to happen, right? Because as comic book readers, we can kind of foretell what's going to go on in the movies, but this time they're switching it up because she's not a mutant, right?
Right.
well, me honestly, I always enjoyed it being canon that both Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, which are their actual names for the fans out there, when they were the kids of Eric Lensher, which is also Magneto. I don't know, like I like the fact that they had kind of like a royal family in the island of Genosha. Like I enjoyed that whole concept. Like it kind of made mutants more than they're portrayed to be in the comics, which is like an oppressed people, you know, like that they had their own place on Earth, you know what I mean? And then they retconned that shit and they basically made them, what was it, like Inhumans, basically, right?
No, not in humans. They're just meta people, like superpowered.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm glad they're not in humans. I don't want them. Don't do that. Like,
Okay. Also, thank you for actually being a tad prejudiced just now, because we should clarify for the fans that within the Marvel universe, there's mutants. That's if you're born with the X gene. Correct me if I'm wrong.
correct.
If you get your powers through external means, such as Captain America, Spider-Man, or the Hulk, you're a metahuman. And if you're exposed to something called the, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Terrigen Mist, how is?
Yeah, Terrigen.
Yeah, Terrigen Mist, you become an Inhuman. So there's 3 different ways you can essentially have powers within the Marvel universe. And then there's all that other crazy cosmic shit that we don't want to get into because that's just in a whole other big spec. Just so you guys know.
Right, and technically with the Inhumans, it's not just being exposed to the Terrigen Mist. It's like if you're an Inhuman, you react to the Terrigen Mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Inhumans are, what was it? This offshoot of the Kree, right? The Kree messed with human DNA back in like prehistoric times and created this separate branch of humanity, which, you know, when they're exposed to Terrigens, they develop powers.
And then they moved to like the dark side of the moon or some crazy shit like that. I don't know. I just know that show sucked.
Yeah, and back when Jeff Loeb was still in charge, you know, of the shows that Marvel Studios was creating, they attempted it in Humans, right? And it bombed. I haven't seen it. You know, it had a pretty decent cast. It had that crazy dude from Game of Thrones in it as Rex.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's perfect casting, right? But apparently it sucked. And I just learned that Jeff Loeb is no longer running the TV shows out of Marvel Studios.
Probably because of Inhumans.
And not only that, and not to divert. I'm not trying to do this, guys.
No, don't do it.
But I heard. Wait. This is news to me. Wait, and there's some continuity here between now and the previous episodes because I've been asking this entire time, the shenanigans, everything. I've been asking, where is Jeff Johns? Like, I know he's writing comic books and stuff like that, but apparently he's no longer like a chief director at DC Comics. He's not like at the upper echelon, and you know whether or not it was tied to those Ray Fisher shenanigans. That's another story. But the question was answered for me because I'm like, wait, like Jeff Johns, like he's like the face for me. Him and Jim Lee are like the head honchos at DC Comics and DC Entertainment. But yeah, so yeah, he is in a bunker. Just want to confirm that with the fans.
Ray Fisher put him in a bunker. If you want to hear more about that, I refer fans to our Dawn of Social Justice episode.
So they can reattempt Inhumans now at Marvel Studios, and with that Miss Marvel show coming out on Disney Plus soon, they might make Kamala Khan an Inhuman and then reintroduce that whole concept there.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
Yeah, because they introduced Inhumans. They introduced Inhumans in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they did it well there. I liked it because like Quake, which is Daisy, right? Like the Chloe Bennett, like she's an Inhuman in the show, and they addressed that well there. But that's why it was such a como se dice, a letdown that the Inhuman show. I think I saw like 2 episodes, and that was it. I could not put myself through it.
Yeah, but now I question everything that Jeff Loeb was in charge of at the TV wing of Marvel Studios. Like, is that stuff canon? Is any of it canon? We all already know that the Netflix shows are not. And then whether or not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, I doubt that too, honestly.
Wait. We know that the Netflix shows are not canon?
Yeah.
How do we know that? We don't know that.
All right. Well, don't be surprised when all the TV shows, and apparently this is tied to why Hulu didn't go forward with the Ghost Rider thing. That was a Jeff Loeb project. But now, now that Kevin Feige, he's like, no, let me like handle Ghost Rider. So, and these Disney Plus shows are under Kevin Feige as well. So now these shows are going to be pure canon. If you're a hardcore Marvel Studios fan, you question whether or not those shows were part of it or not. But now these shows at Disney Plus are for sure tied to the MCU, as we'll see with WandaVision and its ties to Multiverse of Madness, which is I'm really looking forward to that one with Sam Raimi directing.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all going to be connected because now Disney owns everything. They own Hulu, they own Disney Plus, so they're going to put all the shows under their own giant umbrella. Like now, yeah, of course, it's all going to be connected. Like it wouldn't make sense if it didn't.
I'm remaining hopeful that hopefully, because I love that Daredevil, man. I'd be willing to sacrifice Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Keep same Daredevil. I want the next season. I want to know what happens with Bullseye, and I want them to fight.
I agree.
Please, Kevin Feige, please fucking just keep going with that.
And there's an argument for Quake too, right? From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've heard a lot of fans like on the interwebs, like, make her canon because she was fucking dope.
Hell yes, I agree. And she was Phil Coulson's like right hand man, woman. So hell yeah, that'd be good to keep her.
And I'm glad that you guys mentioned Quake and Kamala because you guys just reminded me that it was only a matter of time before this character came up. And talk about strong women and making it quite literal. We have a She-Hulk, guys.
Nice. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Speaking of all these Disney Plus shows, right? We were talking about the potential Ms. Marvel show that's going to come out. We talked the WandaVision trailer, and now She-Hulk. That's the other show. And finally, they gave us the casting news. And what do you guys think of Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk?
I like the casting. I can definitely see it. The only thing is, I hope that it's not like, I hope that technology hasn't gone so far that she doesn't have to lift any weights.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I want her like I think every person who plays Hulk, just because the first live one was Lou Ferrigno, should train a little bit. You know what I mean? Like just like beef up just to be the Hulk, even though you're gonna be CGI'd. Come on now, because she's a very petite female.
Yeah,
I mean,
word. Like there has to be some residual Hulk, even when you go back to human form, right?
Facts,
All those gains can't just disappear.
Yeah, like that's wild.
And then technically, I think it depends, like, if they go with the classic She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters She-Hulk, I think for the most part, doesn't she almost always stay in her Hulk form, which it's not as fucking monstrous as Bruce Banner's Hulk, no? Which is just, she basically looks, I think, like a woman in the, in the wrestling, like just fucking tall and bulky and ready to kick your ass, Like, I would love, exactly, like, come on, just work out, get yourself to that level, and hopefully there's like no need for CGI other than making sure that green better be a crisp green.
Yeah. Or maybe they do some crazy shit and use a body double. Like they make her, when she's She-Hulk, be like, what's her name? From The Mandalorian, Gina Carano. Like when she transforms into She-Hulk, she'll be Gina Carano, and then
Gina Carano, she was in Deadpool, the first one.
Yeah.
Yes!
Angel Dust, yeah, or whatever her name is. Yeah, that shit could be She-Hulk. That'd be epic. And
but
then
they gotta go CG.
Oh, of course.
I don't think they should have a buff chick. I don't know. I think, especially with how good Mark Ruffalo looked in Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh yeah,
that's the best so far of all the Hulk appearances we've had. Like he looked so natural. He looked like he was there sitting with them at that diner.
True.
Well done.
Yeah, but on top of that, though, which to this day, like, come on, it speaks volumes about Lou Ferrigno. Because if you put that shit side by side, you're like, to this day, that's a real person with paint? Like, that's not a suit. That's just paint on a body.
I remember actually, I think after Infinity War came out or after Endgame, Lou Ferrigno complained about the Hulk, that he didn't like how the Hulk was all CGI, and he was like, and then also that they made him smart, and able to talk and shit. And I'm like, Lou Ferrigno's just like, I got buff and shit and got painted. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, word. Like, earn it a little bit. Damn.
One thing I do want to say about Tatiana Maslany for She-Hulk, which I like, I do think, I do want to see her buff, and I want to see the CGI be good CGI. But I do believe in her acting skills because I've seen her actually before. She was in the show Orphan Black, which I think was from BBC or like a Canada or BBC Canada. I don't know what it was, but it was a Canadian show if I remember. And I don't know. Did you guys ever watch that Orphan Black?
Nope.
No, I heard of it, and the only time I ever saw her acting was, I believe, in Parks and Rec. She was a love interest for Aziz Ansari.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
If
No,
I'm not mistaken.
what I liked about Orphan Black, so in Orphan Black, it's a sci-fi show. It's about cloning, but basically that they clone humans, and they basically cloned her. And what's cool, so then she plays like 5, I think, different versions of herself, and they're all very fucking different, and they're very well done. And so that's why I'm like, yes, like I can believe that she'll portray Jennifer Walters, the calm lawyer, and then She-Hulk, fucking massive destroyer and strong. That's cool.
Yeah, but like you said, she'd probably be super casual as She-Hulk, I'd imagine, right?
Probably,
Like,
right?
she's like a lawyer, and she.
And
You know what? Like, talk about a platform to bring in Charlie Cox, right?
Yeah. Dude, you took the words out of
Ooh.
my mouth. I was just about to say that since they're both lawyers, that have to be like a cameo for Charlie Cox.
I think I might faint.
Kevin Feige, come on, pay attention, man.
And also, that brings to mind the fact that the shows have to be integrated, because just so all the fans know, the origin of She-Hulk is Jennifer Walters is a cousin of Bruce Banner who gets in a car accident and is in need of a blood transfusion. And the only donor that matches hers is, of course, Bruce Banner.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yes.
And his blood is irradiated AF, of course, with mad gamma radiation. So she ends up becoming She-Hulk. There you go. So that means that we might get a Mark Ruffalo cameo and a Charlie Cox cameo.
Yes.
Just cameos. They should just make a show and just call it cameos.
I'm excited. I can't wait for that. But wait, we're gonna see this in 2025, I bet, right?
Yeah. Delays.
Yeah. Like I say, with those, right, with the delays, right, with that's the other fucking shit. We found out this week, right, that there's not going to be any Marvel movie out this year. We were waiting for Black Widow. I was hoping at least Black Widow we were going to get. And nope, all these major films that got pushed fucking a ton.
I think what happened was that Disney saw how bad Mulan did, and they were like, nah, fuck that. We're not losing bread on these Marvel movies. We're breaking even, or we're making money. We rather stash it and wait. Let the thirst build up and get people jammed into movie theaters with COVID still out there or not, because I have a strong feeling that, like, if at Disney and Marvel they withhold enough content and people, like, they continue to salivate, they'll be like, fuck it, I'm going to the movies.
Or I gotta cure COVID, right?
Exactly.
Like, we could be trying to cure this shit to watch Black Widow.
Yeah. It's inspiring scientists and Fauci out there to be like, fuck, they delayed the Black Widow movie. All right, everybody, government, NIH, CDC, let's do this. Let's cure
Yeah, it pushed back a lot of interesting movies. They got Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man 3, I think, were the ones that were announced. I'm like, they all seem like cool movies. Because I have no idea what the fuck is going on with Shang-Chi or
Word.
Like, I want to be surprised, you know?
Yeah. And if you think about it, this actually might help cure COVID, because, all right, so all these vaccines are being worked on by scientists, right? And scientists aren't exactly like, like the most athletic, like jocks on the planet and shit. They're usually, like comic book fans and shit. You know what I mean? They're usually like comic book fans and whatnot, what have you. You know where I'm going with that. So maybe in Disney delaying these movies, some scientists who were big comic book fans now we're like, no fucking way.
Agreed.
Imagine instead of trying to cure COVID, they master time travel and be selfish, and they just go to the future, watch it, and come back and shit. Like, fuck that. Nope.
But what if they
Star Wars too, right? A lot of geeks are into that.
Yeah.
Geeks and nerds.
But then what if in their time travel they encounter Kang?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good segue, right? Because that's huge news, right? I can't believe we haven't talked about this, right? Too. So apparently, right, they have casted Kang the Conqueror for the Ant-Man film. Which I'm like, what? Yeah, and played by, I don't remember his name. I'll look it up now, or anybody can look it up. But he's the main lead in Lovecraft County in HBO Max, which I highly recommend. It's a really good horror sci-fi type show.
I might start that today, actually, after we record this.
That's Lovecraft Country. That's
Country.
Jonathan Majors.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Lovecraft County somewhere out there in America, which I'm sure is full of lovely people.
What do you guys think about that? There's like plenty of stuff for that. Like
Yeah, because we're wondering who's going to be the next big bad, and maybe Kang won't be like the huge, like a phase-long villain, but just having him, somebody that and to introduce time travel, like it's just Ant-Man being super relevant with a cameo like that.
I bet Rod, explain to the fans, who is Kang and why is this such a big deal?
Well, Kang, I may not be the most versed in this character, but I did read a bit of him in Jonathan Hickman's X-Men books, right?
No, in Fantastic Four too, no?
Fantastic Four. Yeah, he's a time-traveling despot, right?
Yeah, and not to be confused with Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat.
Critical distinction.
Yeah, critical distinction.
Yeah, and at some point, I think, well, he's a time traveler, so he manages to, like every supervillain, he wants to control all of reality. And I believe there's a future timeline where he is like the all-powerful master and shit, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like he's like a time traveling despot. So he's not like your Vandal Savage from DC who's immortal, or like your Victor Von Doom who's in the present trying to run everything. He tries to conquer shit through time. Like talk about next level megalomania.
And it gets super fucking trippy, his story too, because actually people don't know who he really is. And then there's been like different villains across that apparently it's him, it's Kang. Like there's one who was like, I think like King Tut or something like that, who's Kang, who Kang went to the past in ancient Egypt and conquered them. And like that's him in that, a version of him. Another version of him was from the Young Avengers. There was a character called Iron Lad, which was like an Iron Man from the future, like a teen. But that's apparently Kang. He becomes Kang. At the time, he's a hero, and who knows what happened for him to become a villain. And then another random theory out there that's been, I think Jonathan Hickman brought this up maybe, was that they think that Kang might be Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic's father, actually. And it's fucking like confusing. It's like a trip, and he's a very big character.
Oh wow! So I guess in a way, I'm glad I mentioned Vandal Savage. So I guess he's kind of like the Vandal Savage of Marvel in a way, because no one knows who Vandal Savage was or is. He's immortal, but he doesn't travel through time. So he's kind of like a stationary version of Kang. Time travels through him while Kang travels through time.
Oh,
bars.
The only thing I didn't like about this announcement, though, was that they're introducing Kang in the Ant-Man movie. That just makes me worried that they're gonna make him like a comedy type of like villain, and then at the end, like he just like wah wah, he's defeated and it's over. Like like I don't know, like I want him introducing something serious.
Or it could just be that Ant-Man has. I think it was in the last episode that we were talking about, where I mentioned that. What's gonna be the movie that has that moment? You know what I mean? They just said he's gonna be introduced. They never said that he's gonna be like the main villain, I guess. You know what I mean? So it could just be that it features that moment, that it's like it's significant of Kang. It could be some shit like in the after credit scene, a portal opens up and boom, it shows Kang.
No, technically, it's not official that it's Kang. Those are rumors. Still that it's Kang. And actually, I just saw before the show, before we started recording, Jimmy Fallon interviewed Jonathan Majors and asked him, like, are you Kang? And he, classic, like, Marvel shit, he's like, I heard that too. He's like, we have the same sources, and that's it. And he didn't say yes or no. But what has been confirmed is that Jonathan Majors was cast as the main antagonist for the film.
Oh.
So we know that he's going to be like the main bad guy, probably.
Or who knows? Like, it might just not be a funny movie this time around. Maybe Ant-Man is about to get into some really dark shit.
I feel like I don't know, like all of Marvel movies have some humor, right?
No,
it's
yeah,
still,
yeah.
it's
True.
still serious enough that
That's
we're
true.
invested in the story.
And
That's
speaking
true.
about rumors, fans out there, I hate to do this to you, Raj. Raj, just go ahead, just do it.
All right, so they're shooting new photography
He was ready.
for the Snyder Cut, and apparently a lot of this new footage is for the Green Lantern.
Ooh,
And
okay.
talk
Wait,
about
what? Excuse me,
Rumorville.
Wait, what?
Come on.
Okay, yes,
What?
exactly. Now you guys are all ears. Now they don't want to hear me talk about the Snyder Cut, which is actually Zack Snyder's Justice League now.
Okay.
But there's some legal shit where they're trying to call it Justice League Director's Cut. But no. Fans, we know what this movie's called. And so they're shooting new principal photography, to which Henry Cavill has said that he's not going to do any of it. Whatever. He's saying that now. Who knows what's going to happen?
But it's because he's doing The Witcher season 2, so I'm down for that.
Yeah, they should just pay him all the money. Whatever he wants, fly him a private jet, have somebody massage his feet the whole ride. We need Henry Cavill. I mean, assuming that Zach needs him for more footage. So the rumors are that this footage is about the Green Lantern, and that, at Rumorville, that our guy, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, might come back and reprise the role. It's just all rumors, but it has been somewhat confirmed that it's a Green Lantern footage.
Shut up. This is some 3 a.m. internet fucking searches
3
right
a.m.
now.
internet shit. That's right. I got more, but I'm gonna leave it at that.
Give us more.
So there was an actor casted originally in the original Justice League, but I don't know, maybe due to some fan hype and then Ryan Reynolds' interest. Imagine him coming into the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's already a high profile movie or series rather. Have Ryan Reynolds in it. Oh my God. And then have him do what he just did with Daredevil as well, is redeem the character, which he kind of did in Deadpool 2 when he went back and he used Cable's time travel shit to kill himself before he took the role of Green Lantern. All right. How about, he comes back, he survives, but he nails this version of the character. And I didn't think Green Lantern was that bad, for the record. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't good enough to start a universe around it. So I'll leave it at that, gentlemen.
Yeah, I agree. The Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, I think, gets a lot of shit. But to be honest, yeah, you're right. Especially now. I think, we've gotten way more shittier movies than Green Lantern. It just wasn't a great one, It had its moments, But damn, I'd be down to see him reprise. I just really wish they used better CGI for his suit, because that's one of the main things I didn't like that in the original movie. It just looked like shit.
Yeah, but I mean, if you rewatch that movie again, dude, it's kind of like the suit was like the least of their worries, because the rest of the CGI in that movie was fucking bananas. It's kind of like they just wasted like the last bit of money they had on the suit, but they went all in like on the set. Come on, man. The dude that played Sinestro, that was fucking perfect.
I was about to say that. Yeah. The Sinestro was perfect, man.
Kilowog was fucking perfect. Like the way they did Oa, oh my God. Like, wow.
Yeah, shout out to Mark Strong, played Sinestro, and then Dr. Sivana in Shazam.
Right, I was gonna say that, because then he can't, I guess, come back as Sinestro, because he's already, like, depending, unless they multiverse it.
They could do it.
They could.
They could do it.
Because remember, the Snyderverse has branched away from the Joss Whedon Justice League verse, which birthed the Wonder Woman movie, Shazam, Aquaman, yada yada.
Or would it be best for the Joss Whedon Justice League to have like divert, and that's a separate fucking piece of shit, like, and hopefully the Wonder Woman films and Shazam are maybe more related to the Zack Snyder's cut, hopefully.
It would be like the shitty verse.
And I think in keeping with the DC news, all right, because we've been pretty Marvel centric right now, but we have to shout out to DC, right? Another big fucking announcement that came out, right? And we were talking about the DC fandom, right? Like, check our episode. We loved it. One of the main things I think we all agreed that we loved was the Suicide Squad portion of the DC fandom, right? We love that. We love seeing John Cena portraying the role of Peacemaker, and we just found out that they're doing a series based on Peacemaker, John Cena's Peacemaker, for HBO Max. Guys, thoughts?
All I can say is, holy crap, that escalated. And also, I'm sorry to say it, as happy as I am, this shit reeks of getting canceled after one season. Like, we haven't even like
Damn.
No way. I think HBO Max is sitting on gold. Like with the fact that they have a Gotham series, based off of the Batman, they have an OA series coming out. I think they're being very smart about their shows.
And actually, and with that, if you all know, well, right, this is another big news that we didn't talk about. So it's official. The DC Universe app is dead. It's done. Their special, which, I don't remember which episode was this that we talked about it.
we called it.
There's one episode where we went through the DC Universe app and we talked about how it has shows and its own programming. That's done. That's done. It's going to become DC Infinite. It's only comic books. But it's important to mention, but some of the best things about that DC Universe app, like Titans, like Harley Quinn, and Doom Patrol, have been renewed and exclusively to be on HBO Max. So I agree with Rod, man. HBO Max is fucking sitting on a gold mine.
Shit, now it is. That's crazy, man.
And for the fans, that's episode 6. LOZ Earth Prime, where we review Universe app, the now defunct DC Universe app, which will become DC Infinite, I think, and then just feature comic books and maybe some other cool content. Right. I mean, I'm gonna still be on board. Hopefully they drop the price.
I mean, they damn well should. It makes perfect sense that they should drop the price, considering that like half the content is going out the window.
And upgrade the app too. We discussed a lot. The app is hella fucking glitchy. So it's like, it's the most uncomfortable one to read. And if you're gonna take off like all that energy you guys had to, like, you DC, I'm talking to you, into building the interface for the TV and the films, fuck that. Put all of that into the comic books. Make the fucking comic book reading easy. Okay.
Yeah, get one of your own like dungeon dwelling goblins like Marvel has. God.
And so actually, I wanted to ask you guys about the Peacemaker show, because I remember when we talked about it in the DC fandom, when we talked about the trailer that they showed us and all the stuff that they were showing us about the movie, we said, I think Rod was the one that said it, that so many people are gonna die. Right? They were imagining, and I actually thought that John Cena's Peacemaker was gonna die, but then when
why would you think John Cena is gonna die?
Like, honestly, I thought the character was gonna die just because of the helmet.
Why? Because it's fucking awesome?
No, because it's fucking stupid. That's why.
I thought because John Cena's too epic and he's not going to be doing all these films. And so he's going to be there and end it. But so when I saw that the show got announced, I thought like, oh, well, then that's it, right? Like, so he's not going to die. But apparently the show is supposed to be about his origin. So there's a good chance he might still die in the movie.
Oh,
so
yeah. You get a younger one, right? To do the show. I'm hoping that he survives. And then we get the John Cena and The Rock showdown that we all want in the DC universe.
Oh.
And just to reiterate, I think I had mentioned it when we discussed the Suicide Squad, that isn't Peacemaker like even more American than all the other characters that we picked in our most American episode? Isn't his whole motif that like it's America over everything, no matter what?
Well, I still have Homelander, and they just announced that they're going to release a show based off of the 7, right?
Yeah, a spin-off
show.
I don't know about the 7, but it's supposed to be about like teenage superheroes or something. So I guess like the teen 7.
That would be cool. That's a fucking cool ass concept.
That'd be wild. So it'd be kind of like a Teen Titans, but in that universe.
Yeah. Super depraved.
Jesus Christ, doing all sorts of drugs and shit.
The ending to the last episode was wild. Episode 5.
I haven't seen that yet. Seen that.
No, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just gonna say it was wild. But
oh no, I saw that. Wait, no, episode 5 came out last week, right?
Yes.
Oh, I saw that. Yes.
Oh, you mean the one with Black Noir?
Yes,
Yep.
that's the last episode, right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, but that's what I'm gonna say about it. No spoiler alert needed.
But I will say I agree with Rod, especially after watching the first 5 episodes of The Boys. Nah, man, Homelander is definitely the most American fucking character out there, dude.
Oh my
Shit,
god.
man.
When he's trying to win over the crowd, you don't speak. Oh, no, you know what? Hold up.
You see what I'm saying?
I
I tried. I literally just said no spoiler alert needed.
All right, but yeah,
We
I
can-
think it still stands. I think he's Donald Trump with a cape and superpowers. That's if you want to describe Homelander, that's what you get.
Shit, that's insane.
It's fantastic. Yes.
Every country gets the government it deserves. Moving forward. All
So
right.
speaking of governments, I guess I'm gonna try to make this a segue in some complicated way. So speaking, because another thing we wanted to talk about in terms of the news and something we wanted to highlight a little bit more, X-Men. All right, so there's a new book that just came out, the first big event for the X-Men since a big reboot that they just went through. Not reboot technically, but sort of. Where my comment about it being a government is like, for those of you who might not know, like Chess was mentioning at the beginning how like they're usually the suppressed, the underdogs, the minorities, the people who are discriminated against.
Ooh,
Right
that's
now,
clever.
in the X-Men books right now, they have a government. They have their own fucking country, the X-Men, who are dominating the world. And this is all after the House of X Powers of 10 run by Jonathan Hickman from last summer, who masterfully just fucking redid the whole status quo for the X-Men books in an incredible way. And so we're very excited about this new fucking event that's happening that started on Wednesday. But we wanted to spend some time to talk about this epic run, update you guys on what's going on with the X-Men, and just have a little bit of X-Men love.
And can I make a quick note? So when I mentioned Kang earlier, I didn't mean Jonathan Hickman. It's Rick Remender's X-Force run where you get some Kang the Conqueror. That's what I meant to say.
Word.
So but since we're speaking about Jonathan Hickman now, so yeah, he has the Midas touch. Like he is one of the most clever, the most intelligent writer in all of comics. It started for me with, well, he's had independent books at Image, which I'm a fan of. I read a few of those, but then he came into Marvel with Fantastic Four, and me being a diehard Fantastic Four fan, he did something with that run that I hadn't seen since Mark Waid back in the early 2000s. It was an amazing run. He went on to the Avengers to do the same, right? A lot of Thanos-centric storyline, and now he's on X-Men. And the story is just as exciting as you'd think, right? Because the X-Men have accomplished what they've been trying to accomplish. They're a sovereign nation, and it's written very clever writing. How and for those that want to read it yourself, we may throw a spoiler alert here.
Spoiler alert!
How the X-Men bargain with the United Nations to be recognized as their own sovereign state by providing 3 miraculous drugs, right? One that extends human life. What are the others? Remind me.
It's like extending human life for a few, I don't know how many years. They cured basically psychiatric illnesses. So I think for diseases of the mind, they got medicines for that. And I think, was it like cancer or something? Oh, like something, not cancer though, but it was some
I'll
other.
look into it.
All
but
right.
Yeah, continue.
Yes, exactly. All right, Ches.
I have a quick question. So I'll let the fans know real quick. So I, like the rest of the guys, as you guys know, I love comic books, and I could just name X-Men off the top of my head until the sun comes up. But I've never really read into anything X-Men related, just because the universe, that shit could be like a comic company on its own and just drop issues for years on different shit. It's just so much. So through this episode, I'll be asking the guys some questions. So I'm on the side of the listener here because I'm going to be like, what? So the last I heard, the X-Men had the island of Genosha, which was a sovereign mutant already, like a nation, right? So what do you mean they have their own country now?
No, but yeah, exactly. But this is different. This is a lot, much better done. So, because technically, I think the way Genosha became a sovereign nation, specifically, Genosha was always a sovereign nation and ended up becoming like a safe harbor for mutants for a while. But then it's like a mutant nation when Magneto pulled his like evil fucking shit, and then he was given the country. Like, all right, this is your country, but without any resources, kind of like straight up Magneto just trying to figure out on his own. And then eventually that, because of Cassandra Nova, which is like, this is from the Grant Morrison run, and X-Men, which is another great but really weird X-Men run. Cassandra Nova, which is, just to say who's fucking weird, just to quickly say, Cassandra Nova is apparently Charles Xavier's twin sister who died when she was in like the fetus, like with him, but she like attached herself. Like this is classic Grant Morrison crazy shit, like weird stuff. And she's like got telepathic abilities, whatever, and she had basically destroyed Genosha and like killed millions or at least hundreds of thousands of mutants with a Sentinel attack at Genosha. So that's like the first sovereign nation that they tried and failed badly.
Gotcha.
Okay, I couldn't find it. We'll put an editor's note for that third medicine.
Yes.
Editor's note. The third drug is a universal antibiotic, and the first drug extends human life by 5 years.
And then a bunch of years, practically over a decade passed, and then they got another country. But this time it wasn't because of Magneto and his usual bullshit. This was because of Xavier and the X-Men this time around, is what you're saying.
No.
Yeah.
Well, not the X-Men.
I was agreeing to just the Magneto part. Like he's like the centerpiece. He's like the Malcolm X of that movement. Like his vision was achieved, right?
Hell yeah.
Mutant kind superiority.
Exactly, because this was actually the X-Men didn't really have that much to do with this, actually, with creating, sort of, but the main thing were Xavier, Magneto, and Moira McTaggart. If you guys might remember Moira from she was even in the cartoons. She was in the X-Men animated series. Moira, the Scottish, right? She's the Scottish human scientist that was in love with Xavier.
Yeah.
I already gave a spoiler from the beginning. This is going to be full of spoiler, right? So the big thing that they did in this storyline was that they told us in the House of X Powers of 10 story that Moira is actually a mutant. And her secret and her actual power is basically that whenever she dies, she basically resets time and like relives life again. And apparently, I think she ended up living her life, what was it, 9 times or something? And there's like a limit too, apparently. So apparently it's like if she dies one more time, then she's completely dead. And with her knowledge of having lived so many different lives, encountered Xavier and Magneto, and she even in one lifetime sided with Apocalypse and all these things, eventually she figured out that Xavier and Magneto have to work as a team. And this is the approach they need to go to do this. And what they ended up doing is, so the island that they're living on now, as a sovereign nation, is Krakoa, which for those of you who may not know, Krakoa is a living island. It's a mutant island that basically, if you guys, so it's like deep cut for Giant Size X-Men 1. This is the monumental historical issue where we got introduced to Wolverine, Storm. Wolverine got introduced before in the Hulk book, but I mean as an X-Men. Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Thunderbird, and
Nightcrawler, right?
Nightcrawler, exactly. The story goes that the original X-Men, like Jean Grey, Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, were captured by this mutant island. And then Cyclops escaped, and then Xavier got this new X-Men team to go rescue them. And then Krakoa was like shot into space or something. I don't remember what happened. The point is, eventually Krakoa was like a good person all along, and they were able to make peace with Krakoa, and now they're living on this sentient island that produces all of these medicines that Rod said, and basically produces anything they need, like structures, buildings, food. They give them everything. So that's why they have so much capital to dominate the world stage as an actual political force.
That's insane.
Yep. And then you could plant Krakoan seeds all over the universe, and it creates an instant portal that you can walk. That only mutants can walk through those.
So
that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. So I feel like essentially,
so Scott lives on the moon. Just a note.
Like, it's wild.
So cool.
Like, I see that as like Krakoa is a fusion between the Inhumans and Wakanda, conceptually speaking. You know what I mean?
Or that weird street from Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
What was the
Danny the Street.
Yeah.
Danny, the sentient street.
Yeah, or maybe even this is from DC, but Mogo. Yeah, exactly. The Living Planet. Who's
Oh, word.
who's a
There's
Green
similarities
Lantern.
there. There's
Yeah.
similarities there for sure.
Yeah, that totally. Yeah, and Rod, exactly. You said that one of the coolest thing that I fucking love about it is that the portals, right? Because they plant these seeds that become flowers that become gates, and that these are fucking gates that you can just walk through. And exactly like Rod said, because Genosha, Krakoa, I think it's in the Atlantic. I think it's somewhere in the Atlantic, and literally you can just walk through a fucking gate there and be on the moon in fucking Cyclops' home, where he lives with Jean Grey and his kids and Cable, and actually Wolverine lives with them too, which is
That's
also
weird.
This is weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Some weird shit going on the moon.
And it's actually really cool because in one of those issues they show you the floor pan for their home, and actually Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine have their own rooms, and Jean Grey has her rooms in the center, and she has doors that connect to Wolverine and Cyclops' rooms. It's just like, whoa, what's going on?
That's not weird at
They always
all.
throw weird sex shit. And speaking of Moira McTaggart, she was also in the films. So I just want to quickly go over each of our favorite X-Men films. As you remember her from the First Class series. I think she was in all three of those, or four. Anyway,
Right.
So gentlemen, best X-Men movie, and remember, these can be Wolverine, these can be Deadpool, anything from that Fox X-Men run. Now that it's over, we can commemorate them with this.
Damn, out of all of the movies, all possible movies.
Beginning with X-Men in 2000 and ending with the New Mutants, which nobody's seen. Maybe like 5 people on Earth saw that shit. I mean, I still.
Chess is gonna say New Mutants.
I'm all 5 viewings.
Damn,
I saw it 5 times.
at the same time.
Let me see. Wow, damn. All right, so I'd have to say favorite X-Men movie.
I know, I have one. I'm ready to go. But go for it, Chess. We'll wait.
Damn.
Yeah, me too. I got the
Yo,
quick
just
this one.
because it was done so well, and I'm such a big fan of the character on the low, which is kind of an ironic term. X-Men Origins Wolverine because of Sabretooth.
Shut up.
Wait, that Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee Schreiber Sabretooth is it's an unappreciated diamond
Shout out.
in the X-Men runs. Shout out to Lee Schreiber. We're gonna tag you. Tag us back, Lee Schreiber.
I did like the setup though, talking about their childhood together.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, that movie was overall was pretty much trash, but it had its good moments like that. Exactly.
Listen, yo, for me, that sequence when they showed him and Logan fight through every single war together, that might be one of the hottest, like, of all the sequences in all of Marvel, all of the movies, in my opinion.
And also it gave us Ryan Reynolds. Just to tie it all up at the beginning, it gave us Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, which we have thoroughly enjoyed since Origins. Even in Origins, he was
No, he was terrible in Origins. What are you talking about?
But I remember, as when he was just like an agent, like
Just Wade
Weapon
Wilson.
X.
Yeah.
Then it got weird at the end, but
Yeah.
fans know all about that. All right, I'm gonna go with Days of Future Past.
Oh.
And it was the return of Bryan Singer, who might also be in a bunker. It tied in Matthew Vaughn's beautiful First Class movie. If it wouldn't be Apocalypse, it might be First Class. And then it had Hugh Jackman at the helm of that film, and Hugh Jackman, all the pieces just worked in beautifully. You got the original trilogy's X-Men. We saw Storm, we saw Cyclops, we saw everybody. Beast was in there too. And then we got the First Class, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, those wonderful people. And it all tied into this really awesome, time-traveling epic. What do you guys got?
Good. That's a really damn fucking good choice, and actually relates to mine because my fucking favorite X-Men movie, which will be surprising, because in last episode that we had, the X-Men and the X-Men, the LOZ Infinity one, we talked that thing about the MCU. I said that I'm not a big fan of if they if they diverge too much from the source material, but I'm picking the movie that diverged the most, X-Men First Class. That's my favorite X-Men film because although like the First Class wasn't the actual First Class, right? We didn't get Cyclops, we didn't get Jean Grey, we didn't get the classic. The only one was Beast, right? I think that was included in that first movie, First Class. And that's and we had Havoc, like what? Like okay, and we had like Darwin, and it was just, like weird. But
and Mystique.
and Mystique, and which I loved her there, and then she got annoying over time, I feel, but because also we got a very different version of Mystique, a good version of Mystique generally. But I loved that movie because I felt that movie really captured what the X-Men is about. Like I feel it captured the spirit of the X-Men. They're rallying against, you know, like hatred and prejudice, and like and please, guys, it introduced us to fucking Michael Fassbender as Magneto. And Jesus Christ, that scene at the end, like when they're on the island, which I think it was Cuba, right? They were in Cuba, and they're like he's stopping the bullets and the missiles and all that. Like that was some of and his relationship with Charles Xavier as with James McAvoy doing a fantastic job. I remember just loving. I remember I went to the movies and I had an X-Men First Class shirt on that had the actual First Class on it. I loved it. I feel that's my favorite one.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the relationship between Fassbender and McAvoy, because that scene where he makes him turn the satellite, where like he realizes how powerful he actually is, that he's crying while he's using his powers. That is in X-Men First Class, right? Just sure.
Yep.
Like if you think about it, like the whole X-Men storyline between Magneto and Xavier can be predicated on that point. Like if it wasn't for Xavier, Fassbender might have never known how powerful he actually is. Of course, you know, I'm talking about Magneto, not Fassbender, but you get what I'm saying. like he might have never really known how powerful he actually is, which is insane.
And then speaking of that, I felt like that dynamic between him, like Magneto and Charles Xavier, about like, yo, how cool was that fucking scene where he puts his fucking helmet on, right? And fucking cancels Xavier out and fucking runs a fucking coin through Sebastian Shaw, which was expertly played by Kevin Bacon. Even
shout out to Kevin Bacon.
Shout out, like, because even that Sebastian Shaw, like, I wasn't a big like. It's an Hellfire Club kind of interesting character. Like I brought him pretty fucking cool. Like, oh, that was so good.
I love the way that they demonstrated Sebastian Shaw's powers, which is like what, that he could gather kinetic force like by via impact. So it's like he could get jumped and he'll gather all the kinetic force, and like he's able to project it, make himself invulnerable, which is a pretty cool concept if you think about it. So like I love the way they demonstrated that. Like they didn't overstate it, but they showed what it could be done with when somebody who's smart enough to use it correctly. And it also, like you said, it gave us a peek inside the Hellfire Club, which is this weird secret organization that always fights against the X-Men, and they like to dress in colonial attire. I don't know what's up with that. Like,
right. And actually, and from that, actually, just to connect it back to what we were saying earlier with the new, the Dawn of X, that's what's going on kind of right now. That's a new storyline, the status quo, right? And we were mentioning that there's a government, right? Basically, that with Krakoa, with the mutants, right? And so there's what's something called the Quiet Council, which those are basically the government of Krakoa, the mutant government, and Sebastian Shaw is on it. It's actually a group of how many people is it? 12 people. I think it's 12 people on it. And so it's like it's Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse, and then it's Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, and Storm. It's Emma Frost, the White Queen, Sebastian Shaw, which is the Black King, and now after a while, at the beginning they don't say this, but then it's Kitty Pryde, well, not Kitty anymore, Catherine Pryde, Shadowcat on it, and then it's Mr. Sinister. What's that angel, the guy with the red skin that used to work with Magneto a lot? Exodus. It's so Mr. Sinister, Exodus, and somebody else is with them. I don't remember who else. And they're the government.
And of course, the obvious question: how the fuck are Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse just working together with all these people? Like, what?
Care to elaborate, Rod?
I mean, I think it's because like they figured it out. Like, and I don't know. It's a delicate balance, and for them not to yield control to Xavier and Magneto, I think they understand that it's to their detriment. Although Mr. Sinister obviously is plotting some
Yeah,
shit.
exactly. Like, that's what I'm
Obviously.
saying. Like,
He's always plotting some shit.
like he's cloning someone for some reason somewhere.
He named himself Mr. Sinister.
It's in the name. Come on.
No, I mean, but I mean, like, also at the same time, I guess the way it could kind of work is like they step to Apocalypse and like listen, we know you want to like control humanity, but we're gonna kill you if you do. So we're giving you the rights of first refusal.
No, and so actually it's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that because Apocalypse. So what ended up happening when they announced it, because they did it overnight one day where they announced to the world like this epic telepathic communication from Xavier to the whole world.
Damn.
saying we exist, we're a sovereign nation, you're gonna have to acknowledge us and we'll communicate. And then he said, we forgive all mutants. We all have to be a united front. We're gonna forget if you're evil, come to us and agree to our terms, but you can live prosperously in the community with us, right? And so Apocalypse listens to that and approaches them. And when he does that, he does an epic, like I don't remember the speech, but he does a great. Apocalypse says his whole thing was survival of the fittest and saying mutants are better than humans and that we're just the superior race. And when he walks on Krakoa, he says, you guys proved it. Like, you guys have proven that we are the superior race. We are the next evolution of humankind. That's it. I'm done. Like, you guys did a good job. I'm with you guys. And Apocalypse is good now. Like, he's probably plotting something too. But...
You see what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck?
And also because of their 3 Krakoan miracle drugs, right? They get recognized as a sovereign nation, which gives mutants all over the world diplomatic immunity in a way, which leads to a very cool scene, a standoff between Scott Summers and Reed Richards, right? Because they capture, Mystique is on her bullshit with Sabretooth and I don't know, Avalanche, whatever that team is, right?
Right.
Doofy ass people.
And then it gets to the point where the Fantastic Four capture Sabretooth, and then that's when Scott Summers walks out of one of these portals, one of these Krakoan portals, and he's like, hey, technically that guy, has his immunity because we are now a nation.
Oh.
And it's this thing. Eventually, Scott yields. He leaves Sabretooth in the hands of Reed Richards, if I'm not mistaken. And then, being Scott Summers, as he's walking away, he goes, oh, by the way, Franklin, we have a spot for you. Because the children, I'm not sure if it's all the children, but I know Franklin Richards is a mutant, right?
Yep.
And he's potentially the most powerful of them all. He's like on that Scarlet Witch power level.
Yeah, essentially, and this is another side note for the fans. So, as you guys know, the Fantastic Four exist. That's the Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and the Thing. Eventually, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Girl, Invisible Woman, however you phrase it, they have a kid. His name is Franklin Richards. His power is that he's basically God.
Yeah.
That's the power set. He's God. With a capital G.
Actually, to show how much of a god he is and connecting it to Jonathan Hickman, Jonathan Hickman, when he wrote the Avengers books, it led to this big ass event called Secret Wars where the multiverse dies and then the multiverse is recreated. And who recreates the multiverse? It's him. It's fucking Franklin Richards in combination with Molecule Man, right? I think that's his name. Owen Reese. And that because he's got fucking godlike powers. He's like, all right, I'm gonna create a whole universe. Like shit.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's also how they managed to bring Miles Morales, just to tie in last episode. What? 2 episodes ago was a Spider-Man episode.
2.
How they folded Miles Morales into the regular Marvel continuity during that whole universe-shattering event of Secret Wars, which is cool for the fans. Like Jonathan Hickman is probably the go-to writer at Marvel right now, and he also has a bunch of cool independent stuff. I would recommend from Image Comics, The Nightly News was good. Pax Romana was good. There's some really good titles for the fans interested out there.
Yes, the Manhattan Projects was really
The
good.
Manhattan
too.
Projects, yep.
So good. And I started reading not that long ago, but I'm like 2 volumes in the East of West a book, which is actually kind of connects to this what we're reading right now, because the East of West storyline and image, it's about the 4 horsemen. And it's a very fucking trippy book about the 4 horsemen, how they come back every I don't know how many 100 years or something, and then they have these deals with the government, but like one of the 4 horsemen, I don't remember who it is. I think War maybe separates from the other 4. And this is very, very relevant because the current event right now in the X-Men books, the X of Swords event, is an apocalypse-heavy storyline, which features the 4 horsemen too. And so, well, his actually, it's about his original 4 horsemen, which apparently are his actual children from like millions of years ago. I don't know how much, because he was the first mutant.
Okay, yeah, and that's a pretty big thing that you just said. So again, educate the fans. Apocalypse is the first mutant. If you guys want to see him in live action in all his splendor and glory, which I think they did a great job, and so did Oscar Isaac in being him. What movie was that? X-Men what?
Apocalypse.
Yeah, there you go.
I was on the fence on that movie. I wanted to like it very badly because it was from Bryan Singer, but shit, in this woke era and the social movement and all that bullshit that's happening, like news came out that he was barely on set for that film, and that he was, I don't know, being a scumbag or something. I don't know what the hell. I don't want to make it.
I mean, the movie wasn't all that, but you can't front that they did a good job with Apocalypse.
Yeah, he was there enough where it wasn't terrible. I feel like he was there just enough.
But yeah, so Apocalypse is essentially the first mutant. His power set is, I'd be here for like half an hour just listing shit. And he's more of at this point, he's not even a being. He's just more of a conscience that gets transfers from vessel to vessel. Which, if you think about it, that's more of his power, is it not? Like,
yes. And actually, perfect. So that segues to the one last thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to really get your guys' thoughts on, right? Because Apocalypse, he's immortal, and he's able to, whenever he dies, he's just reborn again, either through some machine shit, but it's actually part of his mutant ability that he's immortal. So he will never die, because he's part of this group called the Externals, that's a deep ass fucking cut that I just actually which is integral for the X of Swords story, which I just found out. The Externals are these group of immortal mutants that they never die. But the thing about that now, the biggest fucking change. So they're a government, right? Like they got fucking all these special drugs. They're connecting with all these different countries. The biggest fucking change that happened with the X-Men right now is that they're all immortal now.
What the fuck?
They can die, but they all come back.
And that's when Marvel jumped the shark.
No, dude. What I love about Jonathan Hickman's run right now in the X-Men books is that he's bringing to light in a very nice story way all the fun stuff about the X-Men and all the weird shit. Because come on, who out of the fucking Marvel comic books, who has died the most and come back the most? It's the X-Men. I think X-Men are the ones that have gone through that the most. True. But now he's actually like ratified it and made it a part of their identity. There's a specific way that they do it, but it's fucking crazy.
Enlighten us.
He's brilliant. Jonathan Hickman's brilliant. So they have this collective of 5 mutants that can do this, I don't know, hocus pocus, and resurrect a dead mutant by transferring their consciousness into this innate matter that all these, I don't remember exactly which mutants are involved, but there's a series of you know it? All right,
yeah.
Shoot.
No, exactly, because a key thing. But before that happens, right, is that so now I think with Beast and Forge, they've created this massive Cerebro, or I don't know, the massive Cerebro, where the thing Xavier, basically what he does every day or every week or something, he copies everybody's minds. Like he copies the essence of people and stores it, and it's actually like stored on some fucking Krakoan cloud. You know, and so what happens when somebody dies? We have 5 fucking mutants, right? That creates the resurrection protocols, which is this is one thing I love to throwback. Throwback. Shout out to Brian Michael Bendis. One of them is Gold Balls, which Gold Balls was introduced in Brian Michael Bendis' run on X-Men, which is this fucking dumb mutant that just creates gold balls out of his body. But actually, what Jonathan Hickman ended up doing was, it's not just gold balls; these are eggs. These are eggs that you can actually fertilize. The other mutant is Proteus, which is Moira McTaggart's son. Which Proteus, I don't remember he has these, and he was in the X-Men cartoon.
He was in the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's how I know him.
He's got this reality warping type ability too. You have Elixir, which you would know, Rod, because he was in the Uncanny X-Force. Yeah.
It's crazy that you mentioned that, because I legit got goosebumps when you said Elixir, because like this whole time I was wondering. I wonder if Elixir is part of the process, because he has to be due to the powers, like considering what we're talking about. And another side note, just to educate the fans, Elixir is one of those really obscure but god-level powerful mutants where his ability is what? He can create any element on a molecular level, or or some shit like that. Like it's something bugged out, isn't it?
No, I think what he does, it's basically like the healer of the group. Like
He's Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But he has both in his. It's one hand is death, one hand is life, and he can heal anybody with one hand, and he can kill you with another. I think that's his main thing, and he's an Omega level mutant apparently too. So there's no limit to his powers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I remember, aside from that, there's something that involves like that he can do stuff to like bodily fluids along with that. Like it's more than that. But yeah, like for some reason his name was in my head as being part of this process. But yeah, go ahead. So you said it was Gold Balls, Proteus, Elixir. You got 2 more left.
Oh, okay. I thought, Rod, you're gonna say something. Or...
I was not. No, but I want to hear the rest.
Right. The other. So we said Gold Balls, Elixir, Proteus. The other one, another Brian Michael Bendis creation. Shout out. Brian Michael Bendis is fucking dope at creating. He created Miles Morales for Spider-Man. He's creating us these.
I love Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah. So in his run,
arguably my favorite comic run of all time. Not to cut you off, but his Ultimate Spider-Man run is still hands down. I don't know. That is one of my all-time favorites.
No,
but yes,
from start to finish, it's one of the best for sure. Yeah, so he created Tempest, which is Eva Bell, and Tempest is this. She's got this really cool time power, time manipulation abilities, which isn't just time traveling per se. What she can do, she can basically create a bubble where time goes slow or fast in that bubble. So you can imagine how that should be crucial, right? We got Gold Balls creating the eggs, Elixir and Proteus. Elixir doing some life shit to it. Proteus weird reality warping stuff, and then you got Eva, Tempest speeding it up to have the person become an adult again, like when they died. And the last member of the 5, that's what they're called, the 5. And what's cool they're treated like almost like priests, like religious people, and there's like almost a religion is starting to create around that, led by Nightcrawler, which is fucking a trip.
Who happens to be a priest, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the last member of the group is Hope Summers. So Hope Summers was the first mutant born after M Day, which is the stuff relating it back to House of M, when Scarlet Witch created this world full of mutants, and she basically took it all back by saying no more mutants, and then like the mutant population was reduced, and then no mutants were born until Hope. And Hope's powers are weird. Hope's powers are like she like amplifies or kind of can like use everybody's powers if she's in proximity to somebody. Like it's like she's like a chameleon in terms of powers. And so the way I've read it described in the book, that she's the secret sauce for the resurrection protocols. And so the 5 working in conjunction, when somebody dies, create the vessel and all that kind of stuff, and then Xavier puts like the consciousness in the vessel, and then they like fast forward it to an actual person, and then they come back with the remember like what just happened before they died.
That's insane, yo. That's fucking nuts. That's like, wow, holy shit. Like, damn, that's complex. And luckily for them, that they have so many mutants. And just to keep educating the fans, you mentioned that Beast and Forge had created a giant Cerebro. Everybody knows who Beast is. Forge is actually, I think, might be, aside from Colossus, one of my favorite mutants. for those of you who don't know who Forge is, his power is that he's a technopath. So he understands technology so well that he can imagine and make shit that he doesn't even understand how it works. Like essentially he can say like, hey, I need a device that does this. And he'll make it, but he doesn't know how. He just made it. Like he's essentially like a non-stop 3D printer, I guess.
Yes.
Now, yeah, so you had mentioned that Forge and Beast created Cerebro, so I didn't want the fans. There's so many different mutants that like I've just been spitting off power sets throughout the episode, just so people get an idea of like how complex and deep. And all the fans that have been listening to this episode, this is why I don't read this shit. X-Men is too fucking massive for me.
But I highly recommend, if you want to start reading it now with that storyline with the House of X, Powers of X, and then the current X-Men run, because they're doing a good job at explaining all of this and not just assuming that you'll just take it for granted. Because, for example, like we were talking about right now about the rebirth, right? They're basically immortal, they're coming back to life. But one thing that I was wondering when we were reading that is like, wait, so what happens to the soul, right? Like, are these just clones? Like, is this like fancy clones? Like they die and then it's just a clone with the memory of it? Like, what does that even mean, right? Because we do have like a heaven and hell in the X-Men universe, in the Marvel universe, and they actually just started, like, that's why there's their religion happening. Nightcrawler started asking these questions, like, because he's Catholic and shit, so he's like, what the fuck does this mean? So it's like they're doing it. They're going a slow burn, but it's deep, fucking awesome stuff. So I highly, highly recommend you guys reading this.
Fast forward, Mephisto gets involved.
Probably, yeah.
Calling it now. Ghost Rider goes to Krakoa. That'd be epic. And shit, we had an excellent fucking ride. That was awesome, gentlemen. That might be one of the most informative episodes I think we've ever had as far as getting people into the trenches of our comic book reading adventures. And with that said, let's wrap this adventure up. Excelsior, as always, upwards, onward, and forward. And thanks for the excellent ride. I keep on saying X because I can't think of a better pun. And as always and as usual, I'm Ches.
And I'm Miguel.
And also, if segues were a stat that we kept, like most beautiful segues in an episode, I think this one would probably take it. Because there were ones that I didn't even expect. You guys went on like connected the topics. It was awesome. And I'm Rod.
All right, guys. Peace. This Legion on Zoom. Laters.
Legion on Zoom, starring and produced by Jose Perez, aka Ches, Rodney Martinez, and myself, Miguel Arce. Please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or shoot us an email at legiononzoom@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Legion on Zoom.